Hey, hello leaders, and welcome back to another episode of Run to Your Leadership Challenges. So we are on episode number 337, and we have made it up to number 2. Today we're going to talk about the second most downloaded episode of our very first year of doing this podcast. And so I'm going to hit record and we're going to get after it. This is the video version of the daily leadership podcast, Run to Your Leadership Challenges. So the good and bad news, I guess, is this is a little bit longer version. Now it's good because I give you a little bit extra value at the end. The not so good news is you get to see all my mistakes because I don't edit the videos. I just record them and I post them. Okay, so on the version that you hear, the podcast that you hear on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify, iHeartRadio, Alexa, all that has been edited out. So you will see a honed down 2 to 3 minute version. But I'm going to hit record and here we go. You'll hear about 4 seconds of silence. Hello leaders, and welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. Hey, we are up to number 2. Today we revisit the second most downloaded episode from our first year. Today the countdown revisits episode number 216, which was a part of the Who Are You series. And it honed in on leadership weaknesses. Now, I don't think anybody really enjoys learning about what their weaknesses are. However, if we are to reach our fullest potential as a leader, we need to understand our weak areas. And quite frankly, I think it's one of the most important things to know whenever you're talking about knowing yourself. Now, on episode number 216, I talked about an exercise that you can do with your entire team in groups of 10 or less. You basically start by making a list of your 5 to 10 weaknesses. And quite frankly, it's usually pretty easy to do this because each one of us are usually our own biggest critic. Okay, we know our weak areas. After we make the list, we get into groups, again, no more than 10 team members in each group, and we basically have a brainstorm session where we discuss each other's weaknesses. Now, the real learning takes place when your teammates mention a weakness that you may be unaware of. So it's extremely important not to argue with them. Nobody really likes to hear what their weaknesses are, but this is where you need to grow some thick skin and just hear your teammates out, because this is a learning exercise. This is to make everybody better, and it's to make the team come together and work better together as a team, all right? So just sit there. You can take notes. You can ask questions to clarify, but just don't argue with them. You can also ask tips. Let's see. Now, I mentioned that you can ask tips to clarify, or even better yet, you can discuss as a group how you can spend, or better yet, you can discuss as a group how each of you can spend less time on your weaknesses and more time on your strengths. The more time we spend doing tasks that exploit our weaknesses, the more our overall productivity decreases. Naturally, the opposite is true as well. Spend more time on our strongest areas and productivity rises. So there are plenty of online assessments that you can take to dive deep into our strengths and weaknesses. So if you need any ideas, reach out to me by email and or by phone, and I'll let you know a couple of ideas. You can reach me by email at Paul Grau, that's PaulGrau @currentleadershipcoaching.com, or by phone at 501-743-5614. Hey, that's it for today. Please be sure to join us tomorrow for the weekend edition and a recap of our number 1. I don't like how slow that was. Hey, that's it for today. Please be sure to join us tomorrow for the weekend edition and a recap of our it's terrible. Hey, that's it for today. Please be sure to join us tomorrow for the weekend edition and our #1 most downloaded episode of the year. Tomorrow is the day that we recap the most downloaded episode of the year. And just a gee whiz fact here, the #1 downloaded episode had nearly 3 times the downloads than any other episode. And it was, quite frankly, the most difficult episode I recorded all year. Please be sure to listen tomorrow. Now, also, if you like this show, can you please do me a huge favor and hit that share button so your friends can listen? As always, thank you for listening. I really appreciate your support. Have a great rest of your day, and until tomorrow, run to your challenges. Okay, so there is the recorded podcast version. I will edit that down. That was about 4:40. I'll edit that down to probably 3 minutes or less. And but here on the video, you get a little bit of extra value. And you know, when we get talking about leadership weaknesses or weaknesses in general that we have, it's kind of an awkward discussion to have with people, but it's a discussion that each of us has to have. If we are to reach our full potential as leaders, we need to know what our weaknesses are. Because if you're weak in relationship building, you can work on that, all right? Because as a leader, you need to be good in relations. At the same time, if you are weak at maybe being very detail-oriented, here's the thing. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you get better at being detail-oriented. I would recommend that you surround yourself with a couple people who are detail-oriented and let them do their thing. You know, I do a lot of work in a DISC assessment, all right? This is a great assessment for figuring out different personalities, for figuring out strengths, for figuring out how to communicate better with your team and your family and your friends. And it really creates a lot of light bulbs to come on. And I've mentioned a lot on this podcast, but I live for those light bulb moments when either I'm coaching or speaking or teaching and you have people, you see those light bulbs come on. That's why I love teaching, and I think teaching is probably one of my greatest gifts because I just love it. My wife often refers to the fact that I get up on the balls of my feet when I'm teaching. I get bouncing because I just get excited. So no matter where you are and what you're doing, whether you're a leader just starting out or a mid-level leader or you're a seasoned leader, you know, we all have weaknesses. And the better off, the more time that we spend really trying to figure out what those weaknesses are, the better leader we're going to be. Because some weaknesses you could really minimize, and you can surround people that to fill those weaknesses so you don't have to go in those areas. But you may discover a weakness that you have to improve on. Another weakness that you might be not really strong in is, or another area you might not be as strong in, is emotional intelligence. And if you're weak in emotional intelligence, there's steps that you can take to build your emotional intelligence and increase that, because it's been proven that emotional intelligence is the #1 factor or indicator of letting you know whether or not people are going to be successful. So that's something that you want to be strong in. And some people have it naturally, some people have to work to increase it, but you can increase it. So that's it for today. I hope you have a great rest of your Friday if you're listening to this on a Friday or whatever day you're listening. And join us tomorrow for episode number 338 as we recap the #1 most downloaded episode of our first year. Hey, thanks for listening. I greatly appreciate you. And probably nobody watches this except Mom. Mom, I hope you're watching this. All right, and I hope you enjoy it. Hope this provides value to you. Have a great day, and as always, run to your challenges. See you later.